Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at 10 games here in the NBA on Saturday, after 10 on Friday as well. Going to be running through best bets and player prop projections for 7 players in today's big slate. Nice start to the season as well. I will let you know, nice little 7-2 in the last couple nights. Looking at more than 5 units on the season. So if you do want to make sure that you're getting every single play that I'm making here, head to the VIP Discord. The link is in the description of the video. Got a nice little season pass going for the NBA as well. 40% off if you want to go ahead and skip that monthly fee there. If that all sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a like. Let's get right into it. Kicking it off with Wembanyama, and I'm looking at his assists, and I'm kind of looking to fade his assists, to be honest with you. He's going up against the Rockets. 3 of the 4 games last year, he went under. He did have that one over where he got 6 dimes against them. That was on 8 potential assists. Really considering that an outlier. 6 assists on 8 potentials, not something that you're going to see happen that often. A lot more likely that it's closer to about 50 to 55% of your potential assists turn into actual assists. So this is an outlier. And Houston's ball pressure limits things like assists more than anything else. They are the number 2 team, at least last season, at limiting assists. And that includes to centers as well. In the top 5 limiting assists to centers, which is what we consider Wembanyama. As much of a freak as he is, this is his position. And he only had 5 potentials versus Dallas. I really think Chris Paul being in there is going to make this offense look a lot different. There's not going to be very many doubles coming his way. Houston doesn't really double. They're just going to really try to keep him out of the paint with Şengün and force him to take shots from far. I mean, he was only 1 of 8 from 3 in game 1. So that's going to be the way that they play him, is not necessarily doubling down on him to force assists and the ball out of his hands, but more just keeping him away from the basket. And he'll usually have a one-on-one matchup that doesn't allow for assists. Looking at a similar look here for Ja Morant, I think we have to at least acknowledge that Ja has only played 26 minutes per game in the first 2 games. Now he's on the second leg of a back-to-back. And like I said, those low minutes right now clearly indicate, and that's what we've heard from the coaching staff as well for Memphis, that Ja's being eased back into playing time. He's not just coming out the gate and playing 34 minutes again. He's coming back from an injury last season. So he's going to continue to have his minutes ramped up, but probably slowly, and probably not on the second leg of a back-to-back is when they're going to start ramping up those minutes. So if you cap him at about 28, 30 minutes, 11.5 rebounds and assists is going to be a lot for him right now, especially against Orlando. Number 1 limiting assists overall, number 1 versus point guards, number 1 limiting rebounds overall, number 1 versus point guards. So they're going to continue to really put a lot of pressure on the ball, force it out of his hands, but not in a position where they're doubling down on him. They're just going to try to force it out of his hands with one defender at a time and limit the stuff to the spot up guys. So I'm staying away from anything to do with points for Ja. I wouldn't be going under, actually. I'd be going over before I went under. But the rebounds and assists are something I can't, I have to fade, essentially. I haven't bet this yet, but I think we got to go back to Pusha P like we did last game when he had 15 and we just needed him to get 9. Another potential blowout incoming. I think Detroit is better than people think, and I don't know that they're going to get beat as badly as Boston has beat the first 2 teams, the Wizards and the Knicks. But this is a situation for Pritchard where we spoke about how he's getting in there with starter minutes, right? Like 25, 28 minutes so far this season. And they were both blowouts. So, that does indicate that he's playing a little bit more of that fourth quarter garbage time. But he's coming in as the first dude off the bench. So he's definitely getting legit minutes and is a clear, legit part of the rotation, not just a guy that you hand the ball off to at the end of the fourth quarter when you're up by 30 points, right? So without Hauser in, he has even less competition for scoring off the bench. You've got no KP, so he's not going to see any minutes with him. And that's why I think 25 to 28 minutes seems imminent for him, because he's one of their best scorers coming off the bench, especially without Hauser now. Their best scorer coming off the bench, I'll say that. And now you've got a situation where they're probably going to be leading by double digits going into the fourth quarter. So he's probably going to get a few extra minutes there in what will probably be garbage time in this one. And as we've spoken about a number of times already with Pritchard, had a bet for him in every game so far. Faded him the right time. Backed him the right time with an over. And it's because when you do see the Celtics play these blowout wins, 15 plus, 10 plus, Pritchard's numbers go up, and that makes total sense. And I'm still pretty much believing in Jason Tatum and the Celtics' ability to be that much better than their competition right now. So I think Pritchard will get a good amount of time, and the shots and the points should be there for him. Interesting matchup here. We got the Bulls and the Thunder already playing after their trade of Giddey for Caruso. I'm eyeing Giddey assists in this one. I don't think there's much of like a revenge narrative. I mean, there is. I would say you could look at Giddey and go, he's probably going to be, wanting to show it up against his former team of just last season. But I don't buy into that too much. But what I do buy into is how OKC plays defense, tailor-made for Giddey to be getting assists. They put a lot of pressure on the ball. They're going to have, any one of their really good wings on Josh Giddey. Could even be J-Dub, could be Luke Dort, could be anybody. Probably Luke Dort on Zach LaVine, but he's going to have a tough matchup on defense. Everybody is going to have a tough matchup on defense when they play against the Thunder this season. They're always going to have 5 good defenders on the floor, but they do allow stuff to shooting guards. They force the ball out of the point guard's hands, and Giddey's going to probably be playing a little bit more shooting guard, off-ball guard, as Kobe White is the one dominating the ball touches and the dribbling. So if you do put high pressure on the ball, now you allow your spot up guys to do a little bit more, right? They're going to be putting pressure on the ball, doubling guys down, and that's going to leave spot up shooters open. I trust Giddey to find those spot up shooters when they do pressure him, especially being that he's going to be taller than everybody that's trying to guard him. That's a big part of his game, being able to see the court over all of the players that come up against him in his matchup. They also allow the 5th most assists per game to shooting guards, and they allow the 7th most points per game to shooting guards. So there's a lot of sort of the swing pass, if you will. One pass from Kobe White out of the ball pressure. Now Giddey's either got the opportunity to shoot or find an open man after driving. I think he's going to drive and kick a good amount, or drive and find Vooch standing down low, that kind of thing. So I think the assists are the look here for him more than anything. Points, yeah, I have no problem with that, but they're probably going to be letting him shoot threes. It's what they did. They're going to sort of use the tactic that was used against them last season for Giddey, where teams would just leave him wide open for 3, like we saw in the playoffs. They're probably going to deploy that against him now that he's on another team and do the same. So he's probably good for some points, but I love the assist for him a lot more. Looking at Russ real quick in this game, another sort of revenge narrative against the Clippers, although I think that revenge narrative is weak as well. I don't think Russ has much hatred or animosity towards the Clippers like we've seen him have for past teams in the past, or former teams in the past, right? But I still like the rebounds in this one. I'm going to continuously look at these hustle stats for Russ more than the shooting. They're going to leave him open from 3. He's not going to be on the floor with very many shooters very often, right? When he comes in the game first, he's playing with the backups. A lot of Julian Strawther and Peyton Watson, those guys are coming in with him. Jamal Murray stays on the floor, so it's he, Murray, and company. And then after that, he stays on the floor. Murray comes off, and he sort of replaces Murray as the starters come back into the game in the second quarter. So he's got opportunities for assists, and I think for rebounds especially, because he's going to be the dude flying around trying to get the boards more than anybody when he's playing with the starters especially. I think the play here is not necessarily points. I'm actually not into the assists either right now, although I would rather have that than the points. I think if you're going to play an over for Russ in this game, it's the boards. I don't know if I can put a bet in for Harden yet, but I'm going to warn everybody to not be fading this man right now. He's going to be going back to the usage rates that he saw when he was in Houston, and we just saw that in game 1. 40 minutes, and granted, this was an overtime game, so you add probably about 5 minutes to his total. He's probably looking at 35, 36 minutes. But he's still dominating the ball. He took 28 shots in this game, only ended up with the 28, 29 points, so didn't have an efficient night. It was 10 from 28 from the floor, so not a good night. But 21 rebound chances that led to a whole bunch of double-digit rebounds, and 15 potential assists that led to 8 assists. He had 94 touches, which was in the top 5 of anybody so far this season. Number 1 in time of possession as he's dominating the ball. Like I said, almost 10 minutes where the ball is in his hands. And this team was probably on offense for 20 minutes? So half the time that this team is on offense, the ball is in the hands of one player, James Harden. So I think he's going to continue to put up these big numbers in terms of volume stats, like rebound chances, potential assists, shot attempts. I don't know how well he's going to play against Denver, whose defense might be suspect, but I think it's going to be good enough this season to still be top 10 to 15. So I'm going to wait and see on Harden a little bit more, but I would be going over as long as these numbers seem a little bit lower. Zubac, popular play for Zoo in game 1, and it's going to be because he's the only center playing for the Clippers. I'm eyeing the boards here. He's had a history of doing really well in the rebounds, more so than the points when he goes up against Jokic. I oftentimes like to get the points for the center that's going up against Jokic, because teams will usually try to go at him, try to tire him out on defense, and have that be their tactic. But in this one, I still prefer the boards for him because he's going to probably be playing 30 plus minutes. There's no other center for this. You can't have Amir Coffey playing big minutes as your backup 5, right? So you're going to see Zoo in there pretty confident. He's done that against Denver very consistently as the center they need in there to play up against Jokic, right? And now Plumlee's not there, so he's it. So he's going to keep getting those minutes where he plays 30 plus minutes against Denver, and at this part of the season without a backup center until they get one, if they get one. So 28 to 32 minutes. If you filter his stuff from last season to playing that amount of minutes in a game, which is what I'm projecting for him tonight, 9 of 13 that he went over, 10.2 boards a game. Not much of an edge there if you're looking at 9.5 for him as his rebound prop tonight, but this is where I'd be going for Zoo if you're playing an over for him. One more reminder, if you do want to use the best tool out there, the one I'm using as a nice one-stop shop, you've probably seen it on the live show as well when I'm sharing my screen and showing you guys this stuff. Outlier.bet. That is the place to get everything that you need. If there's a link in the description of the video for a 7-day free trial if you want to go ahead and test it out before you make any purchases. But that's all the time we have for right now, so definitely continue to follow along. Going to keep coming back each day with these NBA videos. Until I see y'all next. Happy betting.